What kind of monster shoots a teenager over a parking dispute? The question burned in my mind as I sped through the neon-lit streets of our quiet suburb. The wail of sirens chasing my thoughts. My name is Lena, and I never imagined I'd be caught in a nightmare like this. My best friend, Mia, was lying in a hospital bed, her life hanging by a thread. Because of HOA, Karina, woman whose name had become synonymous with terror in our neighborhood. HOA, the self-appointed queen of the Homeowners Association, was a force of nature, her presence as overwhelming as her reputation. At 300 pounds, with a voice that could shatter glass and a temper that ignited like wildfire, she ruled our community with an iron fist. Her obsession with control over lawns, mailboxes, and parking spaces had escalated into something far darker. And now, Mia, sweet, fearless Mia, had paid the price. It started with a single, reckless moment in the HOA office parking lot, where Mia, just 17, had parked her beat-up Honda in a spot HOA claimed as her own. Words were exchanged, sharp and heated, but no one could have predicted the gunshot that followed. I wasn't there when it happened, but the image haunted me, Mia crumpling to the asphalt, HOA standing over her, unrepentant. By the time I got the call, my world was already spinning out of control. I'm no ordinary neighbor, though. I'm a SWAT team commander, trained to face crises head-on. But nothing in my years of service prepared me for this. Within minutes of the call, I rallied my team, and we stormed the HOA office, ready to confront the woman who had turned our peaceful community into a war zone. The office was a fortress of bureaucracy, its beige walls lined with filing cabinets and faded posters about community guidelines. HOA was there, her eyes blazing with defiance, as if she dared us to challenge her. She had it coming. She spat, her voice dripping with venom. That girl disrespected me. My blood boiled, but I held my ground. My team's rifles trained on her. The air was thick with tension, every second a heartbeat away from disaster. I demanded answers, but HOA's smug grin only fueled my rage. She claimed self-defense, said Mia had lunged at her, but the story didn't add up. Mia was half her size, a kid with a quick wit but no malice. I knew HOA was lying, and I was determined to prove it. As we secured the scene, I noticed something odd: a security camera tucked in the corner of the lot, its lens glinting in the fading light. If it was working, it could hold the truth. I ordered my team to seize the footage, my heart pounding with hope and dread. This wasn't just about justice for Mia. It was about exposing HOA for what she truly was. The neighborhood had whispered about her for years: her bullying, her threats, her relentless need to dominate. But no one had ever stood up to her. Until now. As we combed through the office, I found stacks of complaints against HOA, buried in drawers, ignored by the board she controlled. Residents had reported her for harassment, for petty fines, for intimidation tactics that left families terrified. It was a paper trail of tyranny, and it made my stomach churn. How had we let this go on for so long? My team worked with precision, but I could feel the weight of the community's eyes on us. Neighbors gathered outside, their faces a mix of fear and relief, whispering about the woman who had held them hostage with her rules. I caught a glimpse of Mia's mom in the crowd, her eyes red from crying, and my resolve hardened. This wasn't just a job, Anna Marie, it was personal. The footage from the camera was our first break. It showed Mia parking, HOA storming out, screaming about her spot. There was no lunge, no threat, just HOA, unhinged, pulling a pistol from her purse. The shot rang out, and Mia fell. My hands shook as I watched, the truth hitting me like a punch. But then came the twist, a detail that turned my world upside down. The footage showed a second figure in the background, someone I hadn't expected, Mr. Daniels, the HOA treasurer, a quiet man who always seemed to fade into HOA's shadow. He wasn't just a bystander. He was holding a phone, recording the whole thing, his face unreadable. Why hadn't he stopped her? Why hadn't he called for help? My mind raced with questions. But one thing was clear, this wasn't just about HOA anymore. There was something bigger at play, a conspiracy that ran deeper than I'd imagined. I confronted Daniels in the office, my voice low but sharp. He stammered, claiming he was too scared to act, but his eyes betrayed him. They darted to a locked drawer in his desk, and I didn't hesitate. I pried it open, revealing a ledger that detailed secret deals kickbacks from contractors, inflated fines funneled into private accounts. HOA wasn't just a tyrant. She was a criminal, and Daniels was her accomplice. The realization hit me like a freight train. Mia's shooting wasn't just a burst of rage. It was a cover-up, a desperate move to silence a girl who had stumbled too close to their scheme. Mia, with her nosy streak and her habit of asking too many questions, must have seen something she shouldn't have. Maybe it was the ledger. Maybe it was a shady deal in the parking lot. Whatever it was, HOA had decided she was a threat. The confrontation escalated as I faced HOA again, this time with the ledger in hand. "You thought you could bury this," I said, holding it up. Her face paled, but she didn't back down. "You don't understand," she hissed. "This neighborhood would fall apart without me." Her arrogance was staggering, but I saw the cracks forming. She was cornered, and she knew it. My team tightened their grip, and I could feel the tide turning. But HOA wasn't done. She lunged for a drawer, pulling out another gun. And for a moment, time froze. My training kicked in, and I disarmed her in seconds. But the adrenaline surge left me shaken. This woman was a ticking bomb, and we'd only just begun to defuse her. The standoff in the HOA office was a powder keg, and I was standing in the middle of it. HOA's second gun clattered to the floor, but her defiance didn't waver. She screamed about her rights, about how we were all ungrateful, how she'd built this community from nothing. I didn't care about her excuses. Mia was fighting for her life because of this woman's greed, and I wasn't letting her talk her way out. My team cuffed her, but Daniels was slipping through the cracks, his nervous glances betraying his guilt. I grabbed him by the collar, my voice a low growl. "You filmed it. You watched her shoot a kid and did nothing. Why?" His confession spilled out like a dam breaking. He and HOA had been skimming money for years, using the HOA as their personal piggy bank. Mia had overheard them arguing about it a week earlier. Her curiosity piqued. She'd started digging, asking questions at board meetings, even sneaking a photo of a suspicious invoice. HOA saw her as a loose end, and that parking dispute was just the excuse she needed. The truth was uglier than I'd imagined, and it lit a fire in me. I turned to my team, ordering a full sweep of the office. We found more evidence bank statements, forged contracts, even emails between HOA and Daniels plotting to silence anyone who got too close. The deeper we dug, the more the neighborhood's suffering came into focus. Families had been fined into bankruptcy, driven out by HOA's relentless harassment, all to fund her lavish lifestyle. The community she claimed to protect was bleeding because of her. The climax came when we brought HOA and Daniels before the gathered neighbors. I held up the ledger, my voice steady despite the rage burning inside. "This is what they've done to you," I said, detailing their crimes. The crowd's murmurs turned to shouts, their fear replaced by fury. HOA tried to speak, but the neighbors drowned her out, their voices a chorus of pent-up pain. For the first time, she looked small, her bravado crumbling under the weight of their anger. Daniels broke down, sobbing, promising to testify if it meant leniency. It was over. HOA's empire was collapsing, and she had no one left to bully. The fallout was swift. HOA was charged with attempted murder, fraud, and a litany of other crimes. Daniels turned state's witness, his testimony sealing her fate. The HOA was dissolved, replaced by a new board elected by the neighbors. People who cared about community, not control. Mia pulled through after weeks in the hospital, her spirit unbroken despite the scars. I visited her every day, her smile a reminder of why I'd fought so hard. The neighborhood began to heal, slowly, as families rebuilt what HOA had torn apart. But the real change came from within us. We'd been silent too long, letting fear keep us in line. Mia's courage, her refusal to back down, had sparked something bigger. It taught us to stand up, to question, to fight for what was right. I looked at my team, at the neighbors who now greeted each other with warmth instead of suspicion, and I felt a swell of pride. We'd taken down a tyrant, not just with guns and badges, but with the truth. HOA Karen's reign was over. Her name no longer a threat, but a cautionary tale. As I walked away from the HOA office for the last time, the sunset casting long shadows across the parking lot, I thought of Mia's laughter, her fearless spirit. We'd lost something that day, but we'd gained something greater, a community reborn, stronger for its scars. And I knew, deep in my bones, that we'd never let another HOA rise again. End.